Hello YouTube, it is Mr. McClunky, Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes #1 Advanced Fan. And today, it still is not letting me live stream on YouTube yet. The channel's still a little bit too new. So for this next round of GAC, I am going to be doing a video rather than streaming. So I haven't really had a chance to look too much. I did scout PAC's roster the other day to kind of come up with a little bit of a strategy for what I was expecting, but I haven't really got a chance to kind of take a look here. So it does look like PAC was able to pull off a full clear, struggled a little bit against Ray, cleared the ships pretty easy. Let's see down here. Struggled with the Datacron, but pulled through. And then my defenses in the back weren't super particularly strong. So let's see what we're up against here and get kind of a sense. So they did put the support cron on Amidala. Relatively low relics on the team. Shouldn't be too bad to clear up. Looks like we do have the Boba Fett cron on the Jabba team. General Grievous with his Datacron. And then we've got a pretty standard Jedi lineup. He does have Plo Koon on there too. Pretty decent relic level. Let's take a look over here. We got Dash Smugglers, the Dark Side Raycron. We have Ben on Ahsoka. I was expecting Ben on Ahsoka, which is actually the one that I typically prefer to deal with as opposed to Ben being on the Ray team, or not Ben, Ezra. I call him Ben every time. I think I'm going to start over here with the Sidious Cron to take out Dark Trooper Moff Gideon. This usually works pretty darn well, so it should be a good way to get this GAC started off. If I'm remembering correctly, I think another team that does pretty well against this is Gungans, but I do want to save my Gungans to be able to have them go up against his General Grievous team, because that should be a pretty free clear. And since he did full clear me, I am going to have to full clear him back, so hopefully we can make up kind of some of these banners here and pull off a win. Alright, Dark Trooper is gone. They keep cleansing all of my dots, but we'll just keep applying them, and this fight should be over sooner rather than later. Might just take a little while. Might just throw this on auto. Let Sidious do his thing. All right, cool. That's one more down. I was starting to wonder if this was a mistake. It does seem like bringing Enoch is some sort of tech against Sidious. I am going to pull up SWGoH.gg on the other screen here. That way for some of these other ones I can double check some of these counters, because I am feeling like he might have a couple tricky things here, and with it being a full clear GAC, I want to try my best to avoid making silly mistakes like this. Damn. We're getting a lot of dodges too. Yeah, evasion up. Dang. Probably should have scouted this a little better. Alright, cool. Another one down. Ah, dang. Yeah, that one's definitely on me. We'll just let this run out and then we'll come back and mop that up in a second. Alright, let's see what we can do to get Ray cleared out here. Electric Republic. Bring kind of the classic team here, but throw on the Datacron. And let's go. Alright, let's just keep chipping away. Alright, he's got alt. Let's see here. I'm going to pop alt here as well. We can get the high ground so that when she comes out of stealth, hopefully we can one-shot her with Cat here. Alright, yep. Alright, this should be an easy mop up from here on out. Alright, that one's down. Let's get rid of Hux. He does have a second ultimate back there, which is kind of annoying. He's out of the first one. Let's get an armor shred. See how far down we can get him before he pops that ult. Alright, yep, there it is. I'm just going to throw this on auto and basically wait for that to wear off. All right, and this should be pretty quick. All right, at least that clear went pretty well there. I'm going to use Leia to take out Ahsoka here. Go for Rebels. I'm going to do the Adrad lineup again. And Jin is there. Grab my Rebel Fighter Datacron. Let's see how this goes. All right. Let's get the taunt bypass up so we can start smacking Ezra as soon as possible. Looks like they are focusing in on Jin, which is good. Let's start chipping away. It's just taking forever to get this guy down, but I feel like once he's out of the picture, should be relatively easy to start picking the rest of these fools off. And next one. Alright, I've almost got alt again. I think once Hu Yang's dead, I'm just going to throw this on auto. Let them mop up Ahsoka. Alright, nice shot, Drogon. So that is leaving that Dash Rendar team and then mopping up that other team there. I think I'm going to go Gungans on his Grievous team because this should be pretty easily kind of the best counter for them here. One thing I was regretting is I do feel like I probably should have put my General Grievous team on defense. I meant to do it after kind of scouting, but I did not end up going back to change my defense after I got off work. Because he doesn't have the Gungan teams at like a decent relic level. So I was thinking it'd probably be a lot harder for him to clear my General Grievous team than it is for me to kind of just go through his Grievous team right here. I probably could have even put this on auto from the beginning here. This is pretty much a direct counter to everything he's got going on here. It's nice to have a couple of free wins after botching that other one. I think another pretty obvious clear is to kind of jump in. Okay, yeah, nothing too crazy on that Datacron. Another pretty free clear is just to grab the Inquisitorius here and burn through his Qui-Gon team. I don't think I have a specific Datacron that I usually run on these guys. So that one's got some potency whenever they inflict a debuff. Sounds good to me. Right. So we're going to try and get Qui-Gon down first. And then once he's gone, we're going to work on getting Jedi Knight Anakin out of the picture. Alright. Had Foresight on. I've learned my lesson not to just immediately waste my armor shred ability when it won't even hit. Alright, he's out. I think next I usually like to go for Cam just so that they aren't putting armor shreds on me. And then we'll go ahead. I just did it again. I wasn't paying attention. He had Foresight. Alright, they're done. I'm just going to throw this on auto and let the Inquisitors mop up Beck. Alright, cool. So we're in a pretty decent spot so far. Not perfect, but doing pretty well. See, that one's a support. He also has the support tag. So I think for this one, I am probably just going to go with the classic counter of Bane and Christopher Lee. I think I do want to put one of my defense crons on them just to give them like a little bit more staying power just in case things do get out of hand with that support cron. So let's open up with that there. Only person I can zap. Okay, cool. We are in a pretty decent spot. Got nervous for a second there, but that was a solid clear. Okay, so it's just Jabba who is standing in the way of ships, and then down here I am gonna look up the Dash Rendar counter real quick, just to see, 'cause I can't really afford too many more mistakes. So this is with IG-11, Vandor Chewie, let's see, Queel, and Hondo. So he does have a pretty high relic Hondo. It's looking like Gas should be able to clear this. JML, Bo-Katan. I don't want to use too strong of a counter, just depending on what he might be hiding in the back there. But it does look like there's quite a few teams that can clear this pretty easily. What kind of cron do they have? Okay, so no defense on the cron. I might go for C Watt as the counter here. In terms of cron, I'm not really going to be using Palpatine with Starkiller to be able to clear Rey. He doesn't have Rey. So I'm thinking it's probably pretty safe to use this cron. It's not too bad. Alright, let's see how this one goes. I'm not necessarily 100% sure what I'm working with here. We'll put the tank tech on C. We'll link, let's see. I'll link Vandor Chewie because I want to get him out of the picture pretty quickly here. Alright, Watt will tank a few hits while we charge ultimate. And then once we hit ult, this should be pretty easy. right, and that is ultimate. Let's go. All right, let's nuke some of them out. Zap this guy. We'll link these two just for fun, and then I think I'm going to throw it on auto again. And done. Alright, so for mopping these two up, I think I might actually run Wampa just so that I'm using an undermanned squad here. Offense and crit damage sounds good to me. I'm just gonna throw this on auto. Alright, not too bad. We salvaged a fair number of banners from that. Alright, let's see what he's got hiding on the back wall here. Looks like we have got a Saw Datacron, which is probably going to be a pain to clear. We got a pretty decent looking Great Mothers team. And then we've got an unaligned Force user team right there. So I'm not too familiar with this lineup on the unaligned Force users. Saw I've done that a couple of times, but I don't remember the specific counter. So I'm going to go back over to SWGoH.gg. Enter in these. So we got Luthen, and then it's Baze and Shurit. And then he does have Kyle on the end. So it's looking like, let's see, a lot of the recommended counters or teams I've already used. Looks like I could use potentially Gas with Captain Rex. Is looking like it's probably my best bet. He did get me to use a lot of the teams that it looks like are most effective against that. So let's see, because I do have JML left. JML's not a particularly great counter for that. I could probably use Jabba to get an easier clear, but I need to figure out what I want to use to clear his Jabba. Yeah, I'm probably going to want to use my Jabba to clear his Jabba. Then I'll have to figure out something else for the other one there. Oh, sorry, Greedo. Let's see. Or you know what? Against Jabba, how does Amidala do? Because I did save her for offense. It does look like she could potentially put some work in against his Jabba with the support cron. I have not tried this yet, but I'm gonna go and see how it goes. So we'll grab Amidala, we'll grab her boys, and then usually Grandmaster Yoda, and then maybe Shakti. Yeah, we'll kind of see how this ends up going. We'll put the support cron on here. Let's do some experimenting. All right. Oh shoot, what the heck? Oh, okay. I honestly wasn't expecting Jabba to just explode like that. All right, well, good to know. That was crazy. What are we looking at for fleets? Okay, all three of those should be pretty easy clears. Let's save those for the end here. So that does free me up to throw Jabba up here against this team, and I am imagining it should be pretty easy. Let's see. What do we have here? I'll throw this one on. All right, let's see. Who should I take out first? Probably go for Saw. I'm used to usually seeing Luthen on Mon Mothma team. It's been a while since I've come up against Saw Gerrera. I am not liking how low he is getting Boosh at the start here. That is troubling. I need to get cooldowns on Gamma Guard. Come on, buddy. All right. Get her hidden. All right. We're doing pretty good. We recovered from that. We got contract. Let's just nuke out Saw Gerrera. All right, now you're taunting. I'm gonna miss the Africron because I think that thing is so fun to play around with. But honestly, it will be nice to have Kersantin back on this team. Uh, it's a little rough. Gamorrean Guard. He should have been a good tank for this team, but he just does not have the kit for it. All right, got some good banners there. All right, and then next we're looking for Seer. I am going to look up counters for that team because I'm not as familiar with that particular comp. So Malicos, we've got Ninth Sister, we've got Marak, and Shin. So it does look like Mandos should be able to clear her out pretty easily. So I'm going to go ahead and get that team rolling here. And let's throw on, let's see. I'll give him this. I'm not going to have a chance to utilize my Phoenix team, so I'll throw this Datacron on here, mostly just for the kind of head start in terms of the turn meter gain, and then also getting just as much bulk stats off of that as possible. Get the Whistling Birds charging up. Don't you just love how annoying IG-12 is? It's not as bad as C-3PO, but oh, I did just realize I don't think I have my audio set to record from the desktop application. So I don't even think you guys can hear the sound effects on this. I had it set up that way originally just because I didn't want to mess with like the music in the game audio, but I'm thinking I probably should at some point readjust that. That way you guys can at least get the sound effects and we don't have to worry about getting copyright strike for the music. Definitely still learning here. So I'm just gonna try to get attacks off on whoever isn't damage immune. Alright, the game looks like it's bugging out like pretty seriously. I don't know what's going on here. I'm still able to like click and target, but looks like it's still stuck on Sir Junda's turn. I'm gonna wait and see if this resolves and is able to fix itself. But CG might have screwed us out of a win here, and I'm hoping that does not make the difference between us winning and losing this GAC. Here, I might even be able to go, not auto battle, audio. If I turn the music off, I think I can still play the sound effects. So I think if I do this, I'll have to watch the video again and see if the audio goes through. But yeah, that's pretty frustrating. I am thinking this battle is not really going to go anywhere here. Yeah, like the game itself isn't crashed or frozen, but I can still click on just about everything here. I can't do the auto or the auto basic, but I mean everything else is popping up. That is unfortunate. Alright, we're getting a loading screen. I might actually just close out of this and reopen it here. Alright, we're booting back up. That is frustrating. Okay. Yeah, that is not fun. So I'm going to go over here. I'll do a couple of the fleets real quick. And let's see. Yeah, do Leviathan. Alright, let's go ahead and just get started working on this real quick. I feel like the kind of ship matchups here, unless I really screw something up, it shouldn't be too much interesting to talk about. Still just feeling pretty bummed about that game freeze. Houndstooth, that's annoying. Alright, I am actually going to have to pause the recording here, and I will pick back up in just a minute. I am getting a phone call from Mrs. McClunky. Alright, hello YouTube. I am back again. I did finish up the last of that battle with Grievous while I was on the phone there. Yeah, let's go in here and just clear out the rest of these. I'm thinking I might try to do a little bit of like an underman sort of thing here. I could probably do this with no reinforcements to get the extra banners. I'm just trying to see what I'm able to do to kind of make up for a little bit of this here. Alright, yeah. Cool. So that gives us a decent amount more banners. Doing the underman there. I probably should have undermanned against him. And let's see here. I think for Finalizer, I do usually like running the Empire fleet. I just like the way that this fleet plays. And I think this should be enough to clear him here. Alright, so we are going to want to try and kill Kylo first, if we're able to get a shot off. Alright, let's get the defender out. Got the stun on Kylo. Let's just keep chipping away, see what we can get in terms of banners here. Alright, not too bad of a clear. Alright, 72 banners is not bad. Putting us in a pretty decent spot here. So, let's see how we're looking. So just the 1491, and then the 210 for clearing puts us at 1701. So we are going to want to make sure that we are able to clear Seer, and we want to make sure that we clear Great Mothers on the first run. So I am going to grab the counters sheet for Great Mothers and see. So we do have Morgan, Spirit, and the Pee-Pee Boys. Trooper Purdia. So it does look like Sith Empire has a pretty solid clear against them. Looks like some people are using Revan lead, some people using Malgus lead. Let's see. Looks like also pretty decent using JML. So Seer Junda, I need to figure out what my plan is, because the Mandalorian counter was looking really good up until the point where it did not look good. But I'm not really sure how I want to approach that one. I mean, JML is the only Galactic Legend I have left. And I think JML should be able to take out Seer. Which would mean Great Mothers I can use Sith Empire for. What kind of Datacron do they have? Protection and potency. Alright, nothing too crazy. Alright, I'm going to give this a shot. So we'll do Sith Empire. I'm going to do Malgus lead. And I think... Let's see what I want to do here. Probably do Marauder. This one has some armor penetration, potency, dark side, inflicts a debuff to an enemy. Seems like a good one. I do also have... Do I have any defense crons left? I feel like those are just so useful. I'm guessing the fact that I don't see it at all in the sort means I am out of those. So I'll throw this one on here and see what we can do here. Try to get these Great Mothers out of here as quickly as possible. Okay, cool. I feel like this just got a lot easier. Just start chipping away at the rest of these fools. Alright. Okay. Whew. Haven't done that counter before, and I was getting a little nervous. So it looks like this is potentially going to be right up to the wire. 1556 plus I believe it's 210. So no matter what banners I get, I'm at 1766 and he's at 1783. So I need to get at least 17 banners on this clear, which I think is more than doable for the win. Let's go over to Jedi, pack kind of the A team here. Now I need to figure out what I want to do. Armor penetration, crit chance. I mean, that's not a bad one. Crit damage. This is probably my best Datacron. Alright. Start taking these guys out. Let's see. Dang, they're going hard on little Luke. Try to get Calcastus going quickly here. That's one down. Let's get some stuns. Okay, put that out. Let's just pick him. Alright, I feel like we're in a pretty good spot now, actually. Alright, let's throw this on auto. Whew, this is a tough GAC. Yep, 41 banners, so that should put me in the lead. All right, very solid defense pack. But yeah, thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you back again for round 3. Take care.